Hey, AfterBuzzers, you are watching the AfterBuzz TV After Show for Face Off, Season 10, Episode 13, Sinister Showdown, Part 1. We're going to break down the episode, give you our thoughts and predictions, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV.
Like,
and now, let the buzz begin.
What up, everybody? Welcome. Hello, welcome to our Face Off After Show for Season 10, Episode 13, Sinister Showdown, Part 1. I am your host, Alana Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan and on Instagram at That Alana Jordan Girl. And joining me this week is our full panel of awesomeness. To my side here, we've got...
Hello, everyone. I am Alexis Torres. You can find me at atorres890.
I'm Emma Fyffe. You can find me all over the internet, wherever Emma Fyffes are sold, at Emma Fyffe.
Beautiful. And you can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen.
And while you guys are here, be sure to subscribe, rate, comment, and keep up with us in Twitter using that hashtag ABTVFaceoff. We love hearing from you guys. If you're listening to us on iTunes, check us out on YouTube. If you're checking us out on YouTube, check us out on iTunes. But let's check out this episode.
No.
Oh, sweet transition. I liked that. That was awesome.
Oh, thanks. So this episode is always the weird one of the season, I think. The one right before the finale. It's like the calm before the storm. We're just getting a little taste of the epicness that is to come. So I feel like, I don't know about you guys, I feel like this episode just felt like they were trying to turn it into an episode.
Yes. I can agree with that.
Yeah. It just felt like it was a little bit stretched out without all of the flair and the...
It didn't, I mean, here's the thing, is this episode, it's just... Because we know going into this episode, at the end of it, all that's happening is a camera test. Nobody's going home. So, like, the stakes aren't as high. I don't know. I think it fails to... I mean, obviously, like, you still are going to encounter problems because they're still doing full special effects makeups in a very limited period of time. But it doesn't feel the same as knowing, like, okay, now we're going to have to, like, present these fully finished makeup to the judges. It's like, we got to get these makeups done enough that we get an idea of what they're going to look like on camera. But ultimately, this isn't what the makeup's going to be.
Yeah, it's a test run.
Yeah.
It's a prep episode.
I mean, that being said, I really enjoy seeing the evolution process of, okay, this was the concept, this is what we did originally, this is what we end up with in the finale, but it did feel like they were just kind of like, well, let's let the cameras roll and we'll just cut together a bunch of stuff.
It felt a little bit like the Hunger Games to me, the last one, where I was like, you guys made this into 2 movies. This could have been 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
It just kind of felt like, all right, we get it, like a mold's breaking, but is it really going to matter? Are you going to resculpt that whole thing later and it's going to be awesome?
Probably.
I feel like you're gonna.
Yeah.
Like
because you rip out my soul and then you rebuild it better every week.
The new RoboCop, but solidified. But no, I felt like this episode, even though we had all of our old contestants come back, we didn't really hear from them the entire episode. I was just like, this is kind of weird, guys.
As soon as I saw Robert, I was like, great, we're going to get some one-liner gold. And he was like, I'm mossing a lot. And you're like, well, say more words. Yeah. I like the words that you say.
Right? Just please keep talking.
Now, this episode was pretty cool, though. They brought in Jason Blum, of course, from Blumhouse.
This prep-episode?
Oh! If my arm was long enough to give you a high five right now.
No.
F5.
No.
That was pun love right there.
That was. It came to me when you said prep episode, and I waited, and then I just needed the world to know that that's where my brain was.
Yeah, I like this prep episode. I'm stealing it. I'm using it.
It's good. It's what it is. You're all welcome.
Scary good.
Oh,
the worst. So Jason Blum is, of course, the owner of Blumhouse Films that has done virtually everything terrifying and amazing, from Insidious to The Purge. They're all over the map. And so he is the go-to guy for horror. So they bring him in, and right out the gate, walking through these creepy oil fields, Jason Blum standing there you know what's up.
I love it because he was just cheesing the whole time. He was just
He's so funny. I actually find this to be pretty common that, like, a lot of people who are involved in creating horror genre things, be they, you know, writers of zombie graphic novels, i.e. Robert Kirkman.
I love you, buddy.
or somebody like Jason Blum, or like everyone I know who's ever interacted with Stephen King said, like, he's like the nicest, like most mild-mannered, chill guy. And I feel like that, because like I've been in the presence of Robert Kirkman being interviewed before and things like that, and Jason Blum as well, and they're like just regular nice dudes.
They get all their crazy out on the page and on the screen.
There you go. Yeah,
totally.
That's what I was thinking. But it's so funny because they're all still just giddy and happy. And I'm like, how do you do it?
Well, that's like, not to get too far off topic, the guy, and I don't even know his name, this is already bad, the guy who created Human Centipede, when that came out, everyone was like, this has to be a depraved, awful human, and then you find out like he has kids and a wife, and he's just normal, and it's just, this was an idea he had. No, I feel like that happens with most horror movies.
Yeah, because there's a writer that I was really into, and I'm not a big horror fan at all, but there's this guy named Ted Decker who writes Christian horror novels, and I was like, this is gonna be terrible, and I literally couldn't sleep. It was just so bad.
I'm intrigued.
No, it's really good. There's a couple books. One's called House, and the other one's called Showdown, and it takes biblical things and then just kind of like puts them into a horror character. And they,
interesting.
And they kill you for your sins and stuff. Like, it's crazy. But like, he lives in the mountains with his wife and his 3 kids, and like we got to talk to him, and he was just like, I like to sit down and play racquetball with my children. I'm like, you must be depraved. No, I actually just like to sit with hot cocoa and just chat with my children about Barney. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? But anyway, I didn't mean to get off topic.
What's wrong with you is what's not wrong with you, basically. Well, it's kind of cool that you bring up 2 books, because this entire episode was based off of the Blumhouse Book of Nightmares, which is a collection of short stories.
Which, leading up to the Blumhouse Book of Nightmares, they had open submissions for people to submit stories, to be in the Blumhouse Book of Nightmares. And my roommate, Lola Binkard, her short story Shirtwaist was actually a finalist to be in the book. It ultimately was not. The guy who won, as we know, we saw him on the show, but they liked her story so much that it has actually been featured on the website for a while. So
that's awesome.
So my roommate, it could have been her. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually gonna just like call Walter and be like, hey Walter, you want to make Lola's book into a movie?
Just do it.
I'm serious.
Well,
with this show, you never know. They could be like, twist, throw away your makeup. So now here's your new story.
Yeah,
if they did that, I think I wouldn't be able to handle it. I would just die. Just combust.
And then they'd be like, can we use her as the makeup? She just looks so lifelike. And just like that.
Just kidding. Sorry.
So the short story is Hellhole by Christopher Denham, who the whole premise is that it's this couple moves into an oil field house, which don't. Just whenever these stories are like, they move to the creepiest of the lands, I'm like, then go to a different land, go elsewhere. There are other homes that aren't terrifying.
It's just one house. It's like Kirk's the Cowardly Dog. There's only one house in like all the farmland.
And they find creepy things in the house, and I'm like, what? If you move into a creepy terror house and they leave a bunch of stuff in the house, get rid of all the stuff in the house. Have the yard sale.
But also, like,
buy our demon paraphernalia here. We don't want it. Take it away.
But like, did they just get an exceptionally good deal on this house? Like, I don't understand. Like, you would tour a house.
I want to read the story.
That's the first part of the story. Is like, the tax breaks are amazing.
I got a super, super Evil Dead theme the entire time. I was just like, is he gonna pop out with a chainsaw?
Well, it felt very Evil Dead, but not in a cabin. Instead, in an oil field.
I don't know. I was trying over there because I was like, I just want him to just pop out and just kill everyone. Ash, get out there.
But I mean, there were demons and possession.
There were elements too, and we'll dive into talking about the makeups. But they even had, I thought a lot of them had kind of an Evil Dead look to it.
Yeah.
So like Walter's
definitely did.
Oh, come on.
Was just straight up. It was an awesome makeup.
I know,
and just flawless.
And his director just loved it. And part of me was like, is Ryan just the least particular of all of these directors, or is Walter's makeup really that good?
I feel like it was
question.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, before we get too much into it, I do want to set up a little bit.
Okay.
So Walter, we did bring back some more of our contestants. So Walter is on a team with Mel and with Robert.
Yes.
His director is Ryan Spindle, who has worked in the horror genre before. He's done a bunch of stuff, including the Tribeca Film Festival, which is
crazy.
Yeah, so he just has a crazy long list of credits. And so his director, I feel, for the most part, knows what he wants. He's got a vision. He really listened to what Walter had to say. He incorporated his own thoughts, but basically was like, you kind of run with this.
Yeah.
And I think what Walter delivered was so beyond what the director expected for that amount of time.
I would agree.
Yep.
That I don't think it was that he had low expectations. I think it was just Walter surpassed any sort of expectation that
He could have possibly had. Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
I would say, and it could just be the way that they showed it that made me feel this way, but Walter was the first team shown to meet with the director, and I feel like Ryan had a very clear-cut, this is a gourd kind of demon that's coming from the ground, so I want a very earthy feel, and it felt very much like he was the client and Walter was making his vision come to life, and it was very clearly articulated. And then as we went on,
I agree.
with the middle team, it was a little less articulate,
Yeah.
the vision, it was a little more of a broad concept, like work with this, and then we got to Melissa's team where like he had the very distinct fishes and something else, the very distinct names of I want this with this with this, and then it was like I just want you to do whatever you want, and Melissa was like, what? So it went from feeling very much like a professional collaboration,
right,
that's the word, to kind of, this is what I think I want, but you're the makeup designer, so I'm going to let you create something, and then we'll see.
Yeah, definitely.
It was definitely interesting seeing all of the different directors' viewpoints with how they interact with.
But I thought it was a good rendition of really learning how this is a piece of what every director or every makeup artist has to go with different directors.
And I think too, it was interesting to see because like I'm going to use the allusion of getting a haircut. Yeah. So when I go get my haircut, I trust my hairdresser. I know that she's going to know better than me. I have a general idea of what I want, and then I'm like, I just want you to, I'm basically like, I want it to be about this short. Yeah. And about this color. Yeah. And go ahead and cut my hair. Yeah. And I feel like that is kind of where Ryan came from, where Ryan Spindle was anyway, that Ryan basically came in and was like, this is the general idea of what I want. I trust you to create something.
And make it cool and make it unique.
Exactly. Whereas I feel that the other directors came in and they're like, I have like 25 different ideas, but you just do what you want to do. And then they came in and they're like, this wasn't my idea.
And that's where I think that it's the hardest for people who are creatives like ourselves, where it's like, we want someone who comes in and goes, this is the general idea I want. Cool.
Yeah.
Figure, do that. But it's like, no, I have a list, like a laundry list that scrolls all the way down here, and you could just pick one, but then it might not be the one I like.
And I think too, with Walter's team, we saw that vision that Ryan had, which was this is the general idea I want to run with, kind of trickle down. Where Walter said of his team, of Mel and of Robert, he was like, you know what? Without them, these makeups would not look like this, because they brought their own vision to it and their own skill set.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I love that he incorporates that, and it isn't that shows what a great leader Walter is.
He's so
that
good.
He doesn't say, they did such a good job of executing what I wanted.
No,
he says, they do such a good job collaborating with me and creating something that highlights all of our best skill set, all of our best work, and creating a cohesive character, because when they were describing it as like a gourd and sinewy, and he was talking about the pumpkins, my first thought was Pumpkinhead, the movie. And I was like, oh God, is he just going to make Pumpkinhead?
I thought he was trying to take like a Groot and like this like evil pumpkin carriage from Cinderella, and they like crashed together and they became this weird...
If Pumpkinhead and Groot had an evil child.
There you go.
Sure.
Yeah, or an evil brother. I have no idea. Or sister.
It's all a whole family of just evil trees.
Yeah.
And
it would
Groot's
just be great.
like, why am I here?
I know. I am Groot.
Yeah, and I thought it was pretty interesting too that their possessed character, when you were talking about Evil Dead, the remake of Evil Dead, with Jane Levy, with all of the vines and everything,
That's what
when they started talking about it, I was like, this is like Evil Dead. It's like Evil Dead, but it's like...
I need to watch Evil Dead now after watching this episode.
But this is the thing, is it's, Evil Dead is an enduring franchise. Taking inspiration from that is natural, and it's also smart because, again, that Evil Dead itself is sort of a general idea that they added a lot of specific details to, and that's definitely the direction that this film is going.
Yeah.
And while there are different adaptations of the Evil Dead franchise, there are a bunch of different adaptations of this same script, which is pretty cool. And I love that they incorporated moss and having Robert cover everything with moss, hiding the edges in a way that was not looking like it was camouflage, but very much was. And I also love that Walter called him the Moss Man Prophecies.
Yeah.
Moss Man
So
Prophecies.
he's going Moss Man Prophecies on it. I love it. We don't get too many puns from Walter, but when we do, they're
so good.
So good.
I was hoping to have like a Johnny Robert like song about Moss Man Prophecies.
Yeah,
that would have been
great.
awesome. That would be a great song. Also, I think I'm going to claim that as my band name. I think I claimed it.
Moss Man Prophecy.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I really liked the possessed makeup that they did for this too, and this was the only one that this is one where they had a very clear vision and they had a really good execution of the makeup, and they looked at it and ultimately went, let's just tone it down a little bit.
Which is exactly what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is this is great. Do less next time.
Yep.
And you're like, when I have less time and I want to do less, that sounds delightful.
Yeah, exactly.
But I completely agree because I did feel like the trunk or the root that was going through her face was taking up her
It was just a
entire
little
face.
too much.
It was.
Yeah. So I
But I
that.
liked that there was like the veining detail
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
looked like
Yeah, it was gonna be throbbing. It was gonna be terrible and
Yeah.
painful. Yeah, I had chills.
And Mel, even when she was working on this, she had overdone it on the paint job, and so she was like using alcohol to remove some of the makeup, and it was pulling up some of the seams and things. So like considering the issues Mel had going into finishing this makeup, it was awesome.
Really
I think they did a
good.
really good. I think they did a really good job as just a team in general.
they were, I think, probably the most cohesive team.
Yes, I
which
agree.
is why I think they had the most cohesive look. They
Yeah,
were just
it was great.
Yeah.
Overall, I thought, if this was going out right now, Walter takes it.
Oh yeah.
And the one thing, like, we'll get to the other teams, but I think the one thing I liked with Walter was the fact that he wasn't like telling them what to do. He was kind of like, "Okay, I'm doing this thing. What do you think?" Yeah, I like that. And then Melissa will Mel will do the same thing, and you're like, "Yeah, no, that's fine." And then Robert was kind of just in his own little zone going. But I know that Walter's just like, "Yeah, just do what you're gonna do, buddy, and I'll see it later." And that's exactly what it was. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's like, and don't make a prop for them this time.
Yes.
I kind of thought we would see that, like him just making something really tiny to sneak on there.
That's what I thought he was doing when he was doing that little rake thing. I was like, "Oh, he's making a prop, guys."
This is Vernon, the villainous vine man that hangs out.
Vine man.
Yeah. Now, while Walter, pun intended, was pretty seamless. Melissa had a couple issues with some pieces, but even hers, Melissa had Yvonne and Johnny on her team, and John Wynn was her director, who has done worked with Guillermo del Toro when he did The Passing, and that was his short film, and has gotten attention from some.
Sure.
Yeah.
When
Absolutely.
the master of horror himself is like, "Good job, bud. You listen to the man."
Yeah.
So they created this look from Mr. Styx, the cycloptic demon doll.
Yeah.
Which, after you've just done a Cyclops challenge, is like, oh great, that's exactly what I wanted.
After you've just done amazing work in a Cyclops challenge, like amazing.
You just crushed that look, and then they're like, can you do that again, but this time make it a doll, but it's not really a doll, because by this point he's a demon, and just know that he's got doll backgrounds in his brain. He's got doll backgrounds in his brain.
Yeah. I mean, I think the evil doll route, I don't understand the Cyclops thing. The evil doll route, to me, is clearer than what Rob had to create, but still, like, why would you do that when it's like human being?
Because they
I
also
don't
were
know.
like, it's a chupacabra hatchet fish.
Okay, guys.
What's a hatchet fish?
Someone needs to look this up and tweet it to me, but like in my brain I was like, okay, I like that he has specific details.
Yeah.
But at the same time I'm kind of like, do you know what you're talking about right now? Because I feel like you're just spouting out words, and they're just like, and Melissa's just like,
Yep.
Yeah.
okay.
Because it was the chupacabra with the hatchet fish, and then there was one more fish, and it was like the teeth of that fish. And it was
But the funny thing is, we didn't use any of that.
No. And all things considered, like she did a really
do that.
She did a really good job.
She did a really cool thing, and the idea of taking a cyclops and removing its eye
So smart.
to make one eye whole, but
it
not
blew my mind.
Yes,
So smart.
It blew my mind whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that was definitely the strongest piece of this makeup was the face on the fish chupacabra cyclops.
Yeah.
I don't know what that even is. But it was really cool, and basically, and the director had very, very specific criticisms, which I think ultimately is very helpful because he knew exactly what he didn't like about this makeup, and basically it was, okay, I love the face is great, I love the color, I love everything being as neutral as it is, let's make the eye hole as red as possible.
Yeah.
Let's get some stuff dripping out of his mouth, which was very, very effective.
Oh, yeah.
And we got to move the chest piece up because right now it's kind of getting muddled, and also it kind of just looks like nipples.
It looks like lactating oil nipples.
That's just horrible.
That's
The
what they
best
said.
of adjectives.
Yeah. Where did you pull that out of your vocabulary?
You're like, here's some lactating oil nipples on your
it's worse.
on your
to be
Cycla
fair.
Hatchacabra.
That would be horrifying on the victim. Like, that would be a good horror makeup for me. 'Cause that would be terrifying.
No, just those words put together is just as bad as saying the word moist. I can't do it. I hate that word.
Doing it?
Because you guys,
Moist lactating.
But see, then I'm just like thinking, well, what demon baby eats this oil milk? Like,
Elena, what are you doing?
tiny demon doll is going to crawl out and be like, also, I'm here.
I'm not ready. Yeah. Like the alien moment. Ready. What's
I'm also scary and I'm around. This is why I don't write horror. So, this one, they had a really great breakup of work, I think, and she was really good, and I love that she even admits that it's hard for her to relinquish control to her team, but we see her work really, really well with the team, which is awesome. That I kind of feel like at this point in the competition, we've seen them work in pairs, but this is the first time that we see them like team. Yeah. And I kind of wish they would do more challenges like this earlier on in the competition so you could see how all of these contestants would be in more of a real life environment. Because the ultimate goal isn't just to win Face Off, it's to use this as a springboard to do more work. And we as fans want to see more work from all of these people. So I'm glad that they brought back people. I love when they do that. I'm always like, I wish you would have brought back one more for each. A little bit more. Because I'm like, 9 contestants. We're so close. So many more but yeah, I thought this one, it was really good. She kind of knew the chess piece wasn't working. She said it was going to be more of a placeholder. But that again showed how the stakes of this episode weren't as high because you would never have in any other challenge. Here's my placeholder. It would be,
you're right.
You know?
No, you're right.
Part of the fun of this show, as sadistic as it sounds, is watching people go, bah!
I agree.
Hard, and we have to fix it and cover it with dust and glue some moss on it, and I don't know, just fabric. Just fix it. Let's go. Okay, on stage.
Yeah.
And then just hold your breath until the very end, and then Mackenzie looks amazing. Okay, I feel better now.
I feel like also like Melissa had a very interesting challenge with the possessed character because of this like doll idea that they're trying to incorporate.
I felt like maybe I don't know, I went to go make pizza rolls. I don't know, maybe I just wasn't paying attention when I was watching it. So he's supposed to be turning into the new doll?
Yeah, because apparently the wife disposed of the creepy doll.
Yeah, in the fire.
She burned the doll, so now it's possessing the husband to turn him into the doll.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's supposed to look at least start looking into the doll, like his hand should look, or if he's
starting to resemble the demon.
Yeah, that's where I was confused because I was like, okay, we saw the drawings of the doll, and I was like, are you turning into a voodoo doll?
It was like, and this was interesting because going into it, it was like they were trying to keep it kind of subtle, and I agreed with John Wynn, the director, that like it needed to be more.
Okay,
it was too subtle.
Yeah.
And because it needs to read a little like he was saying, if like we can carry it over to the back and carry some out to his arm, so you can get the shot of him reaching, and of course in the reveal shot you just see him hunched over and you see just like a little something. But again, very, very specific criticisms, and not just like all these things need to change and I just change it.
And most of it was because this is the shot, and this is how he's positioned.
Exactly.
This is what we'll see of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is more what you would have when you get to the point that you're doing a lighting test for a makeup. Is normally it's pretty solidified by then, and they're just like, okay, here are the angles. Make sure these are the parts that are going to be highlighted.
Sure, absolutely.
Parts that are going to be focused.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think it does make sense. Like separate the arm from the hand. Maybe add some little shoots of something coming out. But even when he said that, I was like, but is it like a wooden doll? Is it a puppet?
That's
like,
what I'm saying. I don't know if it's like not the number 9, you know, that movie that came out. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a sock.
Oh yeah,
like it's like supposed to be like a sock, like fabric material. Are you actually turning into a doll that's made out of stick or something? Like I don't know how that works.
Is Mr. Sticks like a Pinocchio puppet, or
I don't know. That's what I thought when they said. What kind
of creepy doll is becoming this?
Yeah, because it's like you can have a Chucky doll, you can have like an actual like porcelain doll. Like there's so many different types of dolls, but you didn't specify. Well, at least we didn't get to see the specifications of what the doll is supposed to be.
But it's like a hatchet.
And it's also interesting with the eye makeup and needing to make that more pronounced in a way. If it's like the eye was removed because the demon is going to use it for something, or it was gouged out because that person only has one eye. Now, when you have a subject that has 2 eyes, like that could literally go either way.
And not to get to like super gory, but I feel like if your eye's been gouged out, there's gonna be a lot of blood happening.
A lot.
So I feel like there should have been more mess.
Well, I think it was supposed to be that it wasn't that it was gouged, that it wasn't a recent thing, that the demon lives by seeing through the eyes of the doll.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the eye has been healed where it's been gone.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't know because I didn't know those specifics besides our chupacabra hatchet
fish demon monster.
You will see a demon monster from my end over here, but
I just don't know how we get chupacabra and fish. Like,
I don't even know how you got to this point in time. I mean, that's great that you're creative. I just didn't know how you got from
I'm gonna look all of
this
these things up later and see if I can like fit them together.
I don't know if the internet will let me, but I will try.
Concept drawing.
It makes me feel like somebody went and got like the magnetic poetry, but for like a horror movie, and they just threw it up, and they were like, "Here are some nouns. It's this."
You guys remember from Finding Nemo when Dory and Marlin are in the look at the pretty light. That's what a hatchet fish is.
That's an anglerfish.
But that's just another version of the hatchet fish.
Yeah, but without the little light.
Well, no, there is. But
they've got like the bulging lights on the heads, not the little dangly light, like the.
But pretty much they're in the same family.
Bioluminescent animals.
Man, those things are cool and they are extremely creepy. But like, how do you take a chupacabra and then take it and put that in there too? So teeth, I guess. But wouldn't it look?
Yeah, but it's different teeth, and chupacabra too has also been interpreted many different ways.
So many different ways.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
it's a boogeyman.
What they created didn't look like any of that. It just looked like a scary demon monster, which was the intended route. So, I mean, I feel like sometimes they are given tasks that you're like, okay, we gotta hone in on one of these. Like this is too many. Too many words that aren't the same.
Yeah, no, and I was okay with her going with a demonic cyclops thing monster. I thought it was a better route, especially with the eye being taken out. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
And she still made the creepy pointed teeth.
She did.
Yeah. Which I thought was pretty cool.
I felt bad for which model was it? Where Emma and I were watching and we were just cringing because of the teeth molds.
That was for
Walter.
Right?
Okay, I didn't know if that was for Melissa's or for Walter.
Was really clever that he sent Robert to go and make hidden molds of the teeth, because Johnny even mentioned when we were talking about Melissa's makeup was, we didn't mold teeth. No. And Walter wasn't using them for the test. He was just like, this will be a trick that I'll have up my sleeve for next time.
Yeah, I felt so bad for the actor because he was just like, okay, and I was like,
yeah, because it's not like Robert's a dentist.
No, he just shoved whatever the mold stuff in there, and I was just like,
I don't know what they mold your teeth, but it was the same thing they do when they're like making an impression to
for dentist
braces or a retainer.
And it doesn't taste good.
Elena's the only oddball.
I disagree. I think it tastes good, and I think it's fun and weird. It's like a weird squish feeling.
Yeah, I do not.
I like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
And then you see your teeth in the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's awesome.
You know who didn't have
me.
a cool time? Our next group.
Man, okay,
God.
so we've kind of been going in the order of best case scenario to this is a test, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
There's some changes.
We'll make sure
yeah.
that the last one is awesome.
Yeah.
To things have gone awry. So poor Rob.
God.
Rob is working with Caleb and Anna, so they're both amazing. He's set. Like, it's a great team. He's proud of his team. That's good. What they're doing is pretty good. Bryce Mcguire, his director, who, Eli Roth, his short film that he did, Night Swim, was all about it. So
Right.
it's like, okay, yes, you're director. You have a very clear vision. You know what you want. But it would have been nice to know that before they made everything,
So-
and then the vision was very different.
So when he was sitting there and telling them what he wanted, which it seemed like he had a clear idea and he wanted something, I was like, cool, all right. Rob's like, all right, there's a lot of things going on, but I think we can do it. And then I feel like he just switched everything up for the camera test.
I don't know
What happened?
I think it was just one of those things where it's like he had something in mind that he thought he wanted and he didn't communicate it very well, because basically it's like Rob showed up and the makeup wasn't bad, it just wasn't what the director wanted at all.
Yeah.
Which
like,
happens.
basically he showed up with these makeups and Rob's like, yeah, I'm feeling good about this, they look cool, and then Bryce was like, yeah, this is great, but everything needs to be different. No direction on how everything needs to be different.
It was just very much, it seemed like he knew what he wanted when he sees it.
Right.
And it was one of those
But he
where
can't
he's like,
communicate it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's like, I'll know it if I see it. I'm not seeing it. Yeah. And you're like, well, this is the work we did. This took 3 people in 3 days. Like, come on, bro. Like, what? And a lot of the feedback was great things, but it was
It was a lot.
complicated thing that he didn't really think about. Like, oh, when you say these horns that are coming up are all kind of coming from the same place, change that, make them come from the back. What you just said was resculpt everything and start all over.
Well, and
it wasn't like paint changes.
And they were already having issues with the cowl being too heavy.
Yeah.
And the cowl also split, and they had to patch the whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And then it's pushing on the face, so they're having technical issues with the makeup.
And Rob already had to start over. Now he has to actually completely start over
This is the
again.
thing. Rob didn't have to start over.
That was
he
his
came
own-
in day 2 and was like,
I don't like anything.
So I
That
feel
threw
like
me
they
off.
paired Rob and Bryce are both very similar of, I know we did all this. Let's do something else now.
And it's not the first time he's done it, so I'm just like, why? Why are you doing this again?
Guys, I wish you guys could have seen our faces. We were just like, no, ah!
And I thought things were going so well the first day, and he comes in the second day and he's like, okay, we're gonna scrap the face and I'm gonna do something different, and Caleb's just like,
I feel like Anna and Caleb both were like,
Okay.
and he was like, no, it's great because we actually have a vision now.
And I was like, no, I think it was
like,
just
we
you.
had a vision yesterday,
yeah.
man. Like all the stuff we did.
I don't want to harp on Rob too much, but I felt like the rhino thing was a little weird.
I agree.
Okay, I didn't know if I was the only one on that
It was a
picket
big
fence.
rhino.
Oh, get the float out of here!
I thought it was a very interesting concept and a unique shape that we haven't really seen before.
Great,
but then, and it didn't look terrible on screen. Like it creeped me out. It was very effective. But then Bryce, the director, was just like, no, not the nose.
I was
Let's
just like,
get rid
no.
of the nose. And then can you have like the ears be like holes?
What was
and-
that? What is that
and-
supposed to mean?
Yeah, can
know.
the ear
You just
holes
want a
be
hole?
more like holes? Well, you just described them as ear holes, so by definition,
They already are holes.
they're exactly what you asked for. Can you make the demon face a little more demony? Can you make it a little bit more like a face?
Just a dash
Do you want
of
it-
demon and a dash of face.
Well, and the thing too with the the shovel hands. I'm like, what?
I wish you guys could have seen Emma's face. She's like, what does that mean? What does that look like? Like shovels for hands? Like, what do you
Maybe
mean?
Like, is this a
more like
cartoon
a
character?
shovel.
That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know how he's trying to get these shapes in his head, because I'm literally just seeing like a Fairly Odd Parents.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like, if he just makes shovel hands, like, this is now a comedy.
It's 100% a comedy. That's when he's just like, I'm digging up the dirt on everyone who's lived here with my shovel hands.
I was thinking in my brain of like him digging the graves. He's just like, I'm a demon. Look at me. I'm digging the graves. I'm scared.
Because honestly, if a demon popped out and tried to scare me and his hands were like this, I would be like, what?
I feel like it becomes an SNL sketch where he's just like,
Right.
I have these to dig your grave. And he's like, but how are you going to kill me with your shovel hands? He's like, it's going to take a little longer, but it's, I have nowhere to be
swinging.
I have nothing else to
with
do.
your baby hands, like, I got this, you guys.
Yeah, I was like, I don't understand what you mean by can you make these a little more shovel-like?
What does that mean? Like all together?
How do you make
webbed?
Powerpuff. It's Powerpuff Girl hands. That's what he's gonna have. No fingers. It's gonna be this big blob of hand.
It's
Stumps.
I'm
The professor.
Stumps for the tree demon.
Lord.
Well, tree stumps.
No.
I don't understand.
I just don't understand what he was trying to go for. I actually don't even remember the concept anymore.
Well, it was funny too because they were even asking, and Caleb asked very good specific questions where he's like, okay, how much do you want this to not look like a goat? Like, how much do you want this to not be the traditional demon look? Mm-hmm. And Bryce was like, just demon, but not like, goat demon. Just like, the demon that I have in my brain that you can't see.
Yeah, it's like, if you could just, like, develop some psychic abilities right now and just, like, see what I'm thinking, but I don't even really have, like, a clear picture of exactly what it is. But, like, if you could just, like, reach into my brain telepathically and just, like, pull that out.
Yeah, it's
use them shovel hands to dig into
I feel like Bryce is the kind of director who's going to have beautiful shots that are perfectly lit. He was really seeing how the light moves with the character. They're going to look phenomenal, but he's also one that doesn't seem to have, he's like, makeup does this, but also make it different.
Yeah.
And doesn't really take into consideration all of the...
Because I agree, like, I felt like all of the, like, basically, he liked Rob's makeup. It wasn't what he wanted. Because, I mean, basically what this boiled down to was him coming on being like, this looks great, but everything needs to change. But I didn't feel like he was really specific about what needed to change, especially with the possession makeup, where he was like, this is just too much. Like, she's not becoming him. She's just like being influenced.
Which I'm confused.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
And I thought the possession makeup was phenomenal, and he
so
also
good.
also the fact that he doesn't have a clear concept on his monster. How do you know what the possession's gonna be? Yeah. We don't even know what he's supposed to look like.
The only thing he's real clear about, guys, is shovel hands.
and to say
and ear
And he wanted it whiter than it was, and when it showed up on the camera, I was like,
I thought it was too white.
And I think Rob had that moment too, where he was like, "This is a lot paler than I
mean, you remember when Hellboy came out I can't remember the species of those people that were in the I can't remember
in the second movie. Or in the first one?
I think it's the second one where they were completely pale and he was wearing like a red... was it the first one or the second one?
Yes, I think it's the second one.
Yeah. And they were like really pale and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be weird. But but the way that the lighting is and like the tint of the film, like you can tell like, okay, they put a lot of browns in here because of the fact that he's really pale. I don't know what they're gonna do with this one because he was mostly using like shadows, and I was like, what are we supposed to do with that?
It seemed like it was like a black and white film that was on color.
Yeah,
and if it was shot black and white, it would make sense to have those really, really dramatic contrast.
Yeah,
but if it's not, then it just seems like you've washed out a lot of the details of an amazing sculpt.
Because wasn't he talking about the eyes too? How you couldn't see them and he wanted them to pop out more? And I was like, how are you going to do that?
Yeah, and he goes, let's just pinpoint some light right here in the eyes. And it's like, oh, okay, makeup artist.
Yeah.
You make the light. Like,
I was like, do you want like little LED light bulbs?
Yeah.
Like just right there on top
Christmas
of it?
lights, guys.
But I think what
Christmas
he was trying to say was, he was like, I will make sure that it is lit more so that we get more here.
You just put something reflective there.
And use a bounce or something. I don't know.
I think he has too many things going on in his brain. And I think he just can't put them into words.
He has too many shovels and too many pots.
God, but true.
And I think because his brain is all over the place, like consequently, Rob's makeup was kind of all over the place, and because he restarted stuff and he wasn't really sure, I don't think, what direction he was going. He was just being like Rhinoceros, that sounds good. Let's do that.
Yeah, he wanted horn shapes and he went for the rhino, and then he was like, but this is coming from the ground, so I want mole eyes.
Yeah, that's where I was confused. I was like, you wanted a rhino, and then but you also wanted to make him a mole creature, so you wanted, like, I feel like this is like a TMNT kind of creature that we're trying to figure out, but it's just not working. Kind of.
It seemed like, because Rob is normally so good about thinking about the anatomy of his character and how it influences how the character moves and what the character embodies. So if this is something coming out of the ground, like, the mole eyes make sense, but how are we going to be like, oh, like all the rhinos that pop out of the ground randomly?
Like,
I don't know about you guys, but
I'm
like,
walking to the park and just rhinos start shooting out of the
They're
ground.
just like meerkats. They just kind of come out of everywhere.
And I'm just like, who's playing Jumanji right now? Stop that.
The character felt a little Jumanji to me, too. It felt like a little
Jumanji a little bit.
But I will say, probably for me, my favorite part of the whole episode was seeing Miss Lois Burwell come back and give her feedback.
I know.
So that was pretty awesome. I do wish they would have just done the whole episode of Lois, you say more words.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Lois was the one that had to work with our last director? I don't even know what she would come up
Lois,
with.
I know. Yeah, well, or I would just love this. I would love for, like, Lois to, like, give Bryce, like, a life talk right now and be like, the thing is, you don't really have a very clear vision about what you want for your film.
And like they would both have tea,
Your
just like
interpersonal communication with the team. And it's like, what are these words?
I know.
just
also,
me having
that
tea just like,
accent was awful.
I didn't mind it. Thank you. You're welcome.
So we have to address the elephant in the room, or I guess the rhino in the room.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to skip right over that. And you
I want to say, let's dive into some predictions, because I got a pretty specific prediction I want to ask you guys about.
Okay.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
Maybe these are the
Can we
lights that he
pinpoint
needs.
that light right here?
Yeah.
These are the lights that she needed.
Like a little.
Right here.
So, inevitably, there's gonna be a twist. We know there's gonna be a twist. What do you guys think?
Well, here's the thing: is usually the twist would be revealed at the end of the episode, and unfortunately, our DirecTV feed cut off at the end. So my guess is there's a third character, and they told them at the end of this episode that they have to create a third character, but I don't know.
You took mine, because that's what they always do. They throw in that wrench. It's like, haha, you have another character.
So,
and Rob is going to be so mad.
Yeah.
So mad.
Do you guys think it's going to be a third character?
absolutely.
Or do you think it's going to be something completely different?
I mean,
I would be delighted if it was something completely different, but it's almost always a third character. And as I say, like, for all we know, like, they already said that there's going to be a third character.
or they switch everybody up and they have to work on each other's makeups.
You know what would be cool is if
that would be
I think
cool.
would be neat is if they switch the directors.
Yeah.
Because that is something that could happen on set.
Yeah.
Legitimately. You could have directors pull out of a project last minute. You've already constructed all your makeup with them, and now you have a new director with a new vision. How do you adjust what you've already done to fit that look?
Would
that'd be
suck.
cool.
That would
Big
be terrifying.
rhino things. It's terrible. Oh, I would hate that so much, but I would love to watch it. Sorry, guys.
Well, do you guys have any other thoughts on this episode going into the finale next week?
I can't believe how quick this season went. Maybe it's just me, because I've been. It's just there's been so many episodes, but
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, life.
I will say that as of right now, I'm pretty sure that Walter's going to win. I mean, it could go horribly awry, but he clearly has a very good idea of what he wants, assuming he's still able to work with the same director. They're clearly very much on the same page about things. And he's a really good leader for his team. Yeah. And I feel like Walter was the sleeper hit, and I'm all about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All about it.
I would agree with that at this point, with how everything that we've seen has been going. I do think Walter is going to take it.
Yep.
I'm going to jump on that same boat. I think Walter just really knows how to time manage, even with all the crazy ideas that he usually tries to implement, and that their team is really solid.
Yeah.
So
I think I agree. Based on this episode, if these were the makeups that walked out, I would say Walter takes it hands down.
And not to harp on my feelings about the last episode, but he also has Mel on his team, who probably should have been in the finale.
yes,
So
really. We love you, Mel.
Yeah. Having a semi-finalist as a finalist on your team is it's a nice feeling. It's good.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to see what these guys bring next week.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
I want to see the film so bad, even though I'm pretty much just going to be hiding behind my headphones. I am excited to see.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too.
Yes.
And we are super excited for you guys to come and hang out with us next week too for the finale of Face Off. But in the meantime, where can we find more from you guys?
You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen.
You can find me all over the internet at Emma Fyffe. You can find me on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz TV. I do Transformers and Robots in Disguise, Transformers, Robots in Disguise, and Bob's Burgers. That's what I'm trying to say on Sundays. And then Sailor Moon Crystal is back, and we film Mondays at 10, and it's a great time. And if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know all about everything I do.
You can find me all over social media as aTaurus890. Just filmed my awesome vlog, Hump Day Lunch Hour, where I talk about stuff on my lunch hour on Hump Day, which is today. And we talked about fans and fandom.
Oh.
So, because there was a big controversy with the 100. So, yeah.
Girl, I know all about it.
So I went pretty deep on it, since that's actually one of the after shows I do here. And we had a really awesome actor named Ricky Whittle who was part of it, who just, spoiler alert, got killed off. Yep. So, yeah, you guys should check that out.
I love it. I'm a fan of your fandoms.
Oh, thanks.
And then you can always find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan, ALANAJORDAN, or on Instagram at that Alana Jordan girl. Be sure to tweet using that hashtag ABTVFaceoff, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.